last time we did these, bud.
And that is the show that's kicking off the show. We're live. Let's tweet the link out. Let's get some people in here.
Tweet it. Let the people know that we're coming.
What do you say? Right before we went live, you said, when was the last time? Oh, PEBs?
Gable game. And
my problem right now with Gable game is how much do I want to focus on last year's bracket? It's going to mess with my brain as we head into this season.
That's the thing. My brain, I forgot. I mean, especially when you're going to drill down into an unranked guy that went 1 and 2 from the Ivy League. I'm not going to recall that.
Correct. That's why it's like, it'll be interesting. It's going to get harder to do Gable game as we head into this college season. We do need to.
Maybe we'll do it if we got like not a lot of meat on the bone for a show. Yeah. But this one I think is a good one. Yeah, this one we got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about, and we do. I mentioned it last week. We do, and we are like, it is early October. We have wrestling tournaments, wrestling dual meets in a month. So we're getting close to that period. I mentioned it last week of multiple shows a week. I mean, this week, 3 episodes of Baschamania. We got Bash in the Brain today. We're going to do a Bash in the Brain on Wednesday to talk about national duels, seeds and brackets and draws. And then I got Eric Bischoff coming on later in the week. Full week. We're back.
Bischoff texts me. How about I text regularly with Bischoff, which is crazy.
I can't wait to have him on the show. Like, I grew up a monster pro wrestling fan, so to have him on the show, it might just be a WWF versus WCW Monday Night Wars 83-week show.
Look, I mean, I don't know. He texted me last night. He's still a guy like I don't. You know, like I talk regularly with like Daniel Cormier, and I was on 2 meetings today with Ben Askren, and I don't know. I talked to Kale and Tom Brands and freaking, some guys that are big in wrestling. But like Eric Bischoff texts me, and I'm like, dude, Eric Bischoff texts me.
It's cool. Different. If you grew up a pro wrestling fan, to have that, like, yeah, it's a lot on tap, and we got a lot to dive into today.
So a lot on tap. So obviously we had Bo and Melvin, which we'll talk about their commitments. The All-Star Classic matchups are out. Most of the Who's Number 1 card is out. I want to talk about a little bit about this might hurt me more than it hurts you. And it certainly hurts me more than any human being. But these brackets that USA Bracketing came out, and I thought it was bad, but it's not bad, but it is kind of a pain in the ass, and it's ugly to look at, and it's not very intuitive, and I thought that was not great. And then arena and track, they just merged, and it is awful. I mean, it got to be awful for a newbie. I wonder if it's more awful for a newbie or for a guy that uses it every day. Now there's changes. I don't know. It's bad. I think it's bad all around. I want to rant about that. It's probably dorky. I don't even know if you guys really want to talk about it.
We'll save that for the end of the show so people can hop off.
Here's the biggest thing that I think nobody's really talking about yet. It will start now. It's going to start a lot, ramping up. But national duels seeds are done. They're going to be released tomorrow on a show. We had the seed meeting last week. Came to a consensus. The seed meeting is done, and they will be released tomorrow on Flow. Doing a big show on it. Can't wait. And there's only 4 seeded teams. There was a 5th and a 6th that are kind of alternates, just in case one of the 4 or 2 of the 4 should happen to drop out, or their bus breaks down, or whatever. They have to cancel for any reason. We have 2 alternate seeds. But then the rest of the field that's not seeded will be drawn in randomly. So, you could have a good.
Stream went down. We should be back. Let's see if William hops back in. No idea what just went down. But let's give William a chance to rejoin. Let's go through the chat while we wait for Willie. Sitting in line in the bus, waiting for my son to get out of school. Best time for a show. Yeah, we don't really do a lot of 2 p.m. shows, but these next couple of weeks, I think next week is probably a 2 p.m. show. William, you're back. I think my internet died just on my computer because everything else is fine. But
Where did I die at?
I have no clue. You said, but the bit, and then you cut out.
But the biggest news to me is the weight changes and the personnel decisions that are coming. And I don't know if how much is out there already, but it's sort of known. And they're significant. There's people that are redshirting. There's lineup questions that we're finding out more clarity about. Some of them more clear than others. There's still some uncertainty at some spots, but there's a lot of news about weight changes. And to me, in a week that has had so much news with recruiting, with RAF, with who's number one, with All-Star Classic, the weight changes and personnel decisions to me are the biggest.
Yeah, that was the thing you called me about right away. You're like, it's kind of crazy when, so all the teams had to submit their lineups for seeds and all that. And in giving out, here's what our lineup looks like, there was just magically a bunch of weight changes. So it's not even like announcements. It's just, yeah, this is where this guy's going. And it was, these guys are saying this. And so it'll be fun to dive into those. I've noticed that Flo has started putting those in their rankings. So I'm assuming a lot of them are going to be public. If they're not, because you're going to have a guy seated.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where I cut out, but it became pretty freaking clear to me that so the coaches had to send in, the National Duels Committee sent out all the information. I just sent out all these surveys to the coaches and says, give us your lineup for national duels. Not your NCAA lineup, your lineup that you're going to use for national duels, because, if you have Myra Shapiro, Cornell, and Myra Shapiro isn't ready, he won't be at national duels, don't put him in there.
Right.
And so they did, and I think overall the coaches were pretty good with, I shouldn't even say overall, largely they were great about who they didn't have. I thought, okay, nobody's going to list guys that aren't coming because they want a higher seed, right? But they didn't do that too much. They were really good, and I appreciate the coaches for their honesty in that. But getting those rosters, getting those lineups, I think, it was interesting that they had this guy at this weight. It was interesting that they list this guy and not that guy. And I think it was pretty clear that, like, Flo, they didn't come right out and say that's where they got it from, but they started doing rankings and stuff right after they were sent back to us. And so some of the information's already out there. This guy's going this way, this guy's redshirt, and this and that, but we haven't done a holistic show on it or a segment on it, and it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it'll be fun to dive into. Perhaps we talk about that on Wednesday's show when we talk seeds and draws, and we can start, you start projecting matchups based on where the bracket's going to lie. I think that's when it's time to start kind of looking at that and, talking lineups. But for right now, let's dive into the biggest news as of late, which randomly Saturday, 3 o'clock, I'm walking to get the mail. I think during like a amazing college football slate Saturday. Amazing slate. Take a walk to get outside to get the mail. Don't shake your head. You got UCLA beating Penn State. You got all sorts of pandemonium. You got Diego Pavia running his mouth, and then Alabama gets it done, covers last minute. Great slate. I walk to get my mail, and I get a Are we back now? I don't know what's going on today with the internet. Walking to get my mail, and I get exactly. Speedy Taurus, do you know of anyone for who's number one that rejected? Yes, there were a couple guys that said no. All right, let's see if Willie gets back in here. I don't know what's going on the internet today, guys. Everything else in my office is fine. TV's on with internet. Like, everything else is fine. Very weird. Let's give Willie a minute to get back in here. If not, we're just going to have to record it and put it out after. All right, he's back. If it happens again, we're just going to have to go not live. I don't know what's going on. The rest of my office seems to be fine. Then my computer internet just shuts off, apparently.
So it's definitely on your end.
It's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I left off, but Snyder doesn't tell me everything. And I appreciate it because I don't need to know everything, and he keeps it professional. And but he did make a comment that something about Sunday. He would know by Sunday. We'll know by Sunday or something. He said that in a off the cuff comment at one point, and so I wasn't surprised. And I did ask him. I said, "What's that mean?" He goes, I'm not getting into. I'm not telling you details, but we should know this weekend." And so whatever it was, did culminate this weekend with Bo Bassett and Melvin Miller, arguably the number one targets, prospects in each of their classes. Bo's technically 2 or 3 now, but he's as good as anybody, right? And Melvin number 1 in 2027, and Virginia Tech nabs them both. It's been a circuitous route, long sort of drawn out process, but at the end of the day, Virginia Tech gets 2 monster commitments, and it's the ACC school, and it's a team that's been excellent for a long time, and I mean excellent. There used to be like, oh, Virginia Tech they made the top 10. Oh, Virginia Tech, they made a podium. Oh, Virginia Tech, they had a national champ, and now it's sustained itself for long enough that it's like, okay, I can see why they go there. They're a really good program, a really stable program, but for these blue chip guys like Bo Bassett and Melvin Miller, it's usually Penn State, Iowa, Ohio State, Okie State. And it wasn't this time. It was down to Nebraska and Virginia Tech gets them.
Yeah, and if you're watching the social media, it's funny because Bo did what a lot of these recruits do nowadays, which is they do the whole photo shoot in the singlet, in the room, all this stuff. And he did one for Nebraska, and then you saw him hanging out at Virginia Tech. And then it was like, well, where's that post? And then it went right from skipping that to committed. And then him and Melvin committed at the same time. I think it's an awesome fit for them. I do think that this is one of the best outcomes for where they could commit for, like you're saying, somebody of their caliber usually ends up at Penn State, Iowa, Oklahoma State. And going to the ACC, going to Virginia Tech, it's great for college wrestling. And I think, too, like there's so many different things that why I think it's a good fit. But even the little things, like Virginia Tech has one of the best media teams in the country, not even just for the wrestling program. They could go head-to-head with any sports program in the country. Their content is so good. Their understanding is so good, especially for Bo, who's so active with such a big audience. I think that alone is such a great fit for him. Obviously, that's secondary to everything else. That's secondary to wanting to win titles and the coaching staff and the culture and all that. But even the little fits like that, for me, it just seems like such a great fit.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to, and then not listen. My best friend was in the thick of it till the end, so I'm not by any means saying other coaching staffs don't have it too. But I think that Roby and Frayer have a great culture, and they're very accessible, and they get along. They really connect. As student athletes really connect to them. And I think even people at Tech, we're like, I wonder if one of the things working against us is that Bo will want to be in the Big Ten because it gets more coverage and it gets more hype and it seems to be prime time much more often. Um, and it turned out not to be. And I've said it for 20 years. I don't know if I had a blue chip wrestling son, I don't know if I'd want him in the Big Ten. It sort of prepares you for the dance, but it's sort of a meat grinder. There's pros and cons to it. So, like when I know that the Big Ten coaches are going to hate to hear me say that, um, but it is a tough, grueling existence in the Big Ten wrestling, and I don't I don't blame anybody for not going to the Big Ten. I think maybe it might be a more enjoyable path. When and the proof's in the pudding. I mean, Austin O'Connor didn't wrestle that grueling of a schedule, didn't wrestle that frequently, and he won 2 titles. Caleb Henson was in 2 finals. Mekhi Lewis has done it. Um, you can obviously win titles coming from the ACC.
Yeah, and listen, he's going to have, Caleb Henson sticks around and trains in the RTC there. He's going to have a great partner right around his weight. I know there was some comments about who are his training partners going to be and this and that. It's like, I think that's kind of like an overreaction. Oh, he's not going to have the best training partners. Why? What? Some of the top guys in college wrestling, a lot of their training partners are sometimes either just an absolute workhorse who doesn't make the lineup, or it's somebody that they just gel with. I think it's overreaction to question.
Well, I mean, he's going to have the national champ at the weight to train with.
Yeah.
He's going to have Henson. He's going to have freaking Frere, who's a freaking Olympian. And right now, J.O.'s down there a bunch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was too when you mentioned too about Virginia Tech and their fans like wondering. It's worth noting that when Melvin put out his top 9 back in June, I think, Virginia Tech was not on the list. It's kind of crazy how we went from like if you're a Virginia Tech fan and you're looking at Melvin, like when he did his top 6 recently, he added them. But his initial top 9 was Michigan, Pitt, Missouri, ASU, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Iowa, Nebraska, NC State.
That was mid-June.
Correct.
I mean, it's been a quick. I mean, he went from Tech not on the list to I'm going to Tech within 3 months. And now that being said, when Bo was on his official there, I don't think Melvin got to take an official back when he had made that list, right? Because June 15th was the first day you possibly could. I don't think at that point Melvin was 100% familiar with them. But when Bo did, I remember seeing clips from Bo's visit there, and it wasn't Melvin's recruiting trip, but there was also some Melvin people in the stands cheering for Melvin, right? Like giving Melvin a lot of love. So I thought that was interesting, and ultimately it couldn't hurt.
Yeah, again, I think it's a great fit. I kind of like, spread the wealth with some of these guys. We've said it from the beginning when you have these top recruits. And, I mean, it's awesome for Virginia Tech. It kind of feels like it happened years ago, but it was just end of March, Jaden James decommitted to go to Penn State, and you lose a monster recruit in James, and now you turn around and get 2 of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the next 2 classes. So, awesome for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I saw some people saying, I mean, I don't know the answer to this, but I saw some people saying, imagine if Jaden would have stayed there. And, yeah, that would have been incredible. Jaden, Bo, and Melvin. However, I wonder, and I don't know, right? I don't know the answer to this. I don't know the finances, but I wonder if Jaden's leaving. I wonder if they could afford it all. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know.
Yeah, this very well could have been, well, since we just freed up that, now we can. Um, Another big recruiting thing I guess we can talk about because you posted it yesterday. It was a monster recruiting weekend for Nebraska.
Yeah, they had a group of 9 guys. About as good as any group of 9. You don't. First of all, you don't see that big of a recruiting weekend. All the guys, all so many at one school at one time. But they had a good group and a big group and a good group. Both Singer brothers. Now, Jason Singer is committed to Lehigh. Nikki Singer, who won Fargo, and man, I love Nikki Singer. I remember the first time I saw him. He was a freshman, and it was the first match of the season. And I had known his junior high results, but he came out in a match. I was doing it live, Sem at Faith Christian duel, and they had some personnel. The lineup they gave me didn't have him in it, and he came out. I'm like, who the hell is this kid? They're like, he's a freshman. I'm like, well, who is it? And they're like, Nikki Singer. I'm like, oh, Nikki Singer. And I think he lost the match, but I was like, damn, this kid for a freshman can move. But he was there. He won Fargo this year, and Nikki was a guy that I thought, like I said, first time I had eyes on him, I'm like, this kid's gonna be really good. And then he sort of like plateaued a little bit, and then this Fargo, he was off the charts.
Yeah.
And I know, obviously Lehigh would like to get him. I know that Ohio State's clearly in the mix. He likes Ohio State a lot, but Jason Singer, Nikki Singer. Matt Crossan from Iowa, Dawson Youngblood from Iowa, Gage Lohr, who I think is going to be really good. I think he was 3rd or 4th at Fargo this year, but still in cadets, and he's very young for his grade. South Dakota kid.
Let's put the picture on the screen. Here you go. Here you go,
Israel
guys.
Borg was there. Who else was there?
Let's see. Looking at
on the screen. I'll know it if I say it. Oh, Gray Burnett, Paul Kenny, Jimmy Mastney, who just had a monster Elite 8 duels. So yeah, that's Jason Singer, Dawson Youngblood, Paulie Kenny, Mastney, Crossan, Nikki Singer, Gray Burnett, Gage Lohr, and Israel Borg on the bottom there.
it's a strong recruiting weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, so Nebraska not getting the Bassets obviously has to. I don't know if it stings, but now you obviously have to pivot, right? They probably had a lot of resources tied up in a wait and see kind of approach there to see if they got them, but they'll be fine. Nebraska will be fine.
It'll be funny when you look back. You do this show kind of in a couple of years, 4 or 5 years, whatever, and you see how it plays out from here. But to think we were this close to AJ Ferrari and Bo Bassett being on the same team.
Oh, that would have been must-see TV. That would have been must-see TV.
It'll be fun to like look back in 5 years and be like, hey, remember when? All right.
So, yeah, there were 37 guys committed to Division I schools, whether 2026 or 2027. And I put a this weekend recruiting article up on Rockfan, which lists all of them that committed in the last, 7 to 10 days. Stanford got 2 guys, Grayson Music, who I'm really high on, and Kai Vielma, who actually beat Israel Borg at NHSAA duels. But man, it was really rough. It was a rough day and a half for Pitt, because they had Elijah. Oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. Fargo champ from last year. He took 7th at Super 32. But they had him committed, the number 1 guy at 195, or 215. They had him committed, and then he decommitted. And at the same time, like remember when I came out with those first calls article? I think
Yeah.
I think I had music at the top of that list, and if I didn't, it was he was included. But they had two guys in their backyard commit to Stanford, and they had Elijah decommit. So it was a tough day for Pitt.
Sounds like it.
But
Well, that's on
Elijah Brown.
that's on Willie's Rockfin. So go to rockfin.com/Matt Scouts for all that good, juicy content.
Massney. Who'd Massney beat Betts and Wilder and Michael White at Elite Eight duels. Jimmy Massney, now ranked 5th in the country, went up 5 spots. So really good. Everybody's on him. He's an Illinois kid going into his junior year. I got calls from him on everybody. Everybody. Okie State, you name it. Everybody called him. Called me about him. What else? What else, my friend?
All right, so that's kind of the recruiting roundup. Let's talk a little All-Star Classic because there was a lot of the All-Star Classic. The matches got released like Friday afternoon, kind of a late week news dump, and there seems to be a lot of disappointment for a couple of reasons. I'm gonna pull up the list of the matches here. I'll put them on the screen.
Yeah.
The two big complaints were, number one, no Penn State and not enough ones or twos. In fact, there's no ones versus twos. There's two one versus sevens. There's two one versus sevens, and there's not a single two on the entire card.
How many total ones?
Two. Just Lucas Bird and Jesse Mendez.
Interesting.
Now, so the matches, I have them up on the screen. And so if you start kind of breaking that down, I noticed a couple things here looking at this. Number one, you've got guys coming off red shirt in there. You've got guys that were not super active and they want to now compete. They're on red shirt. You got a guy like Zach Ryder. He's on there. One of the other big things on here is that there's no Penn State. And instantly my DMs are like, oh, Penn State's too good for this. Oh, where's Penn State? And I'm like, do you guys realize that Penn State has 7 of the 10 guys in the U23 team competing in Serbia at the U23 World Championships the week before? Like, your coaches are gone. Your training partners are gone. First of all, go through the lineup. Their best guys are going to be at U23s. So I wasn't really surprised not seeing any Penn State guys in this lineup.
I think I said on this show a couple weeks ago, I think I said on it, I was talking to Kale about something, and I brought up All-Star Classic, and he was like, yeah, we really don't have that much representation there. And, like, I didn't know how to take it because Kale will just say stuff like that, and sometimes he's just messing with you. Like, sometimes, like,
He's got that dry
I don't know
humor.
if it was like for real or like, yeah, they have 7 guys at it. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I think we only have 1 guy going. And I was like, well, why is that? He was like, oh, I don't know. We have U23s. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Well, think about it. Penn State has Luke Lillidahl, Marcus Blaze, P.J. Duke, Mitch Messenbrink, Levi Haynes, Rocco Welch, and Josh Barr, all at U23s. So,
and almost all of them would be.
All but Blaze and Duke would probably
Yeah.
be in contention for a match.
Right. So it doesn't make sense. What has been the reaction? Has the reaction been like, "Oh, this is lame"?
Yes, very much so.
I don't like that. Not everything has to be ones versus twos. Of course, we want to see ones and twos.
I'm excited for the card because I think there's a lot of good matchups on it. I think what happens is you paint the picture as this is the All-Star Classic. This is the 1 versus the 2. These are the 2 best guys. You almost have to reframe it if you're going to have a 3 versus 4, a 4 versus 5, and that's going to be the card, because there's great matches. The problem is the expectation's too high that everything's just going to be 1 versus 2s.
I don't know, maybe to me the blow is softened by the fact that it's at the beginning of the year. Like,
100%.
give me anything. Give me Shawver versus Bird. Give me anything. Like, maybe I wouldn't be into it as much. Maybe I'd be a little bit disappointed if it was the All-Star Classic back in the day, like they had in the middle of the year. It was in January or February or something. But I don't know. I'm excited for it. I like the matchups.
Yeah, I think there's some good matchups in it.
Yeah.
I mean, wrestling fans tend to
how
like
much,
to
how
complain
much of
about
it
things.
too? Like, I don't know. How much is it of wrestling just being wrestling and like
That's what I was just saying. Yeah.
like back in the day, it was the middle of the season, and everybody was like, bro, I ain't trying to wrestle my schedule and then also wrestle an all-star match in the middle of the season and leave my team and this and that, and there's this different event and it breaks up my training schedule. And okay, so then participation in that goes down, and then they kind of reimagine it and they start it in the beginning of the season. Oh, let's have it in the beginning of the season. Yeah, let's do it in the beginning of the season when we're fresh. And then they do it for a couple years, and then the wrestler's like, I ain't doing it. I ain't ready to peak at my best yet. You can't win with these dudes.
Well, and I think too, like, I had a couple people DMing me, like, well, what about Kasich? What about Marisola? I'm like, listen, my take on, like, I understand, and some of the guys DMing were like Penn State fans who just want to see Penn State guys. And I'm like, I think holistically, this was already, to me, like, when Penn State made their schedule, they have nothing before November 14th. They do not have a competition on the schedule until November 14th. They duel against Oklahoma, and then they have their Black Knight Invitational November 23rd. So the notion of, like, this is why they're not at national duels. Like, they're not. I don't think they're going to have a one-off guy go. I think it's kind of, this is what the team's doing this year, and we're kind of dictating what the team's doing based on the betterment for everybody. When you have guys at U23s and your training partners are gone, and it just doesn't make sense for them to have a competition until mid-November.
Well, this is why, I always get labeled. Anytime I say anything and defend anybody, it's so funny. People want to label me everything. They're like, if I talk bad about this, then I'm being a hater. If I defend people doing this, then I'm being a freaking mouthpiece for somebody.
Yeah.
No, it's just reality. And the reality is, when Penn State said they weren't doing national duels, everybody got up in arms. And I said, it doesn't make sense to their training schedule. It doesn't make sense. I was the first one to say, look at what's going to happen in November. Has anybody took a time out and seen what it's going to be like at that time of year for Penn State? No, you didn't. Because I'm the brain, and the brain does brain things. And now look, it would have been, it's not right for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now you understand it.
Yeah. And in the chat, sorry, Speedy Tortoise said, I think an incoming freshman event would be cool. Definitely.
I said that years
Definitely
ago.
agree.
Well, I didn't say incoming freshman. What I said was that they need to have some of those guys. That like, they need to pepper in some off red shirt type guys. Maybe in rare occurrences, true freshmen, but yeah.
So that is the All-Star Classic. It is going to be, for less than a month, November 1st, 7 p.m. on Flow. You want to talk a little who's number one?
It's tough. It's tough. I see Larry Steele in the chat saying All-Star blew an opportunity. Last year was at Penn State. They had 10 All-Americans. Penn State All-Star team would have been huge. It's tough. I mean, I'm part of Real American Freestyle, and getting everything in line is difficult. Like, sometimes it's your own fault, and sometimes it's wrestlers and the coaches that are not compliant. And I mean, at Real American Freestyle, we made this is our second event, and we're 2 for 2 in making scheduling errors, in my opinion. Like, um, I mean, card one was awesome. The event and the atmosphere at card one was awesome. So it's tough to say it was a mistake, but in retrospect, like if it would have been if it would have been a week earlier, we could have had college guys. If it was not on opening weekend of football, especially Ohio State's big game, we could have had more fans. And then this one, we wanted to bring it to Penn State, um, which would have allowed us to have anybody on their team, including college guys. Um, and there was a scheduling conflict with football, and then we had to move it, and so now it's still in that window where you're not allowed to compete. So we lost those guys, plus we lost the U23 guys. It's difficult, and you live and learn.
Yeah. So it'll still be a good event, though. I do think it'll be a good event in November. All right, let's talk this weekend. Who's number one, William?
Whoa! Who's number one's this weekend?
Or no. Wait. Yeah, it is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Let me see. I don't even know fully the card, bro. I'm telling you, with
It's Saturday night.
usually usually every year I write up an article on selections I liked and selections I didn't like. Let's just do a segment on it. What I like and what I do not like about this card. Where's this card? Okay. Girls are 2 p.m. Central. It's at Carver. No, it's in Iowa City. It's at the Extreme Arena. Great wrestling venue. All right, boys match order. Rockland Zinkin versus Dom Munaretto. Love it. I love Rockland Zinkin's on an absolute heater. I love that kid. He is awesome dude. Against Munaretto. And Munaretto is interesting to me because it's like a couple weeks last week at Elite Eight Duels, he lost to Mason Jacob, and then he came back and beat Mason Jacob. And I feel like Munaretto on any given day is as good as anybody in the country at 120 pounds. Will he go unscathed? No, he probably won't. He'll drop one here or there, but he is as good as freaking anybody. And so, Zinkin, after his awesome performance at Vegas, awesome performance at Fargo, now he has another great test in Munaretto. So I really like the matchup. And I think, they will wrestle the winner of Landon Seiden. And I really, really like that Seiden agreed to wrestle here because here's why. I got all these bitching parents. And to me, this is kind of in the pure sense. A lot of times when I write these things every year about Flow Wrestling, about who's number one, my pain point is that they put matchups together that are not in the spirit of who's number one. They put guys in there that have no business. They didn't earn the right. And we'll get to one in a second, like Cam Howard. I mean, stop. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. But this one is a true who's number one kind of spirit. In that Landon Seiden earned number one by his awesome season. He beat Bachman. He went out kind of not by himself, but he went out all the way to freaking Doc B and beat a bunch of great guys. Won a tremendous bracket out there. And then we didn't see him for a while. And then so you have Paulie Kenny and Antonio Mills, and you have Rockland Zinkin doing all these things, and all the parents and all the people that are religious ranking people that pay attention to the rankings, they say it's kind of not fair. We know Seiden earned it before, but it's kind of not fair that he sits on the shelf for 6 months and maintains that number one spot while everybody's knocking each other off and other guys are doing great things. And I totally get it. I totally get it, but you can't. I can't force a kid to wrestle. Um, and I don't think it should be the expectation that guys wrestle everywhere. You don't want to go to Fargo, don't go to Fargo. Um, this brings it all back full circle. This will determine. This is what Who's Number One was made for. 165, Melvin Miller, Max Daybolt. This to me is a match to simply get Melvin on the card. The match to make in all of high school wrestling is Melvin Miller, Jaden James. I don't know why Jaden didn't want to compete. You know, he spent a whole summer training his ass off for Cadet Worlds. And then he went and won gold. And so I don't blame him. What the reasoning is behind it, I don't know. In fact, I have a missed call from his dad a couple days ago. I got to call him back. But I don't know what the reason is. I don't blame him. I would like to see the match. Perhaps we'll see it in the season. I don't know if he's just wants some time off, which is not a bad idea. He's been going full tilt. Maybe he gotten bigger. Somebody sent me a picture of, because I've been on record since like his freshman year, saying that Jaden was going to get big. And so somebody, I think it was a GOAT follower, sent me a picture of Jaden with his brother, who's like 215 and a running back prospect for Notre Dame. And he's like, damn, Willie. And this picture's from like the other day it was posted. And he said, damn, Willie, you were right. It looks like Jaden's brother's 200 plus, and Jaden looks almost as big as him. Jaden's going to get big. And Jaden had already said he'll never see 57 again. And so, I mean, I wonder if he's walking around 80, 85. He's big. He might be big. So who knows? Whatever the case, Daybolt's still a good competitor, but it's not a true number one match. Mills and Kenny, love it. I absolutely love it. That's a great bout. Mills winning Fargo. Mills has been so good. And I also like, hats off to both guys who are both also going to Super 32. So, no excuses. They're going to wrestle here and then run it back. 157, Wyatt Medlin versus Cam Howard. I love Cam Howard. First of all, Medlin, I think, is a fine selection. Howard, I love Cam Howard. I was early on him. I told you he was coming. Look at my rankings. Look at my past work. I told you this kid was coming. What I don't like is, did he earn it? How did he get to number 2? Because he DMP'd in Vegas and then went to Fargo and won cadets. It is a wonky weight. 157.
What do you have those two guys ranked at?
Wait, what am I talking about? Is it where do I have Howard? Oh, I have him 1 and 5. Now 4 did just lose this weekend, but I don't know. Like how was unless Zeno Moore turned it down. I don't know.
Well, it is their 1 and 2. So I mean, it makes sense if they believe Wyatt's 1, Cameron's 2. Like the match makes sense.
You have a really, really difficult time. You have a really difficult time telling me that Cam Howard should be ranked above Zeno Moore. How? It's incomprehensible. All right, next weight. Adam Waters, Tanner Hodgins, love it. I was really impressed with Hodgins at And I told his father, I told um, Mr. Hodgins straight up, because I talked to him over in Athens, and I said, after Vegas, now Hodgins has always been really good, results wise. Like, I think he took third at Fargo as a freshman. He had a good state tournament as a sophomore. Um, and then he won Vegas, right? And made the team. But I thought he didn't. I thought he looked immature. Like, I didn't think he was like physically developed. Kind of had a little gravy on him, and I don't know. I wasn't. I thought it was a weak link. I thought he was a weak link on our team. Okay, I can say that now because he wasn't. And I talked to his father over there. I said, the jumps that your son has made this summer are incredible. And I knew I was onto it a little bit when I first showed up and they had practices. I'm like, damn, Tanner Hodgins became a dude in like 3 months. I mean, physically he got more put together. Technically, he was more advanced. So I love this matchup. Waters is clearly the one. Do I have Hodges too? I don't know. No, I have Hodges 3, but it's fine. I mean, to me, I have John Roca 2, but you can make a case that Hodgins either is 2, should be 2, or has earned the right to get the number 1 shot. So I love that matchup, and I'm perfectly okay with it. Uriah Mills, Turner Ross at 106. Mills, to me, clearly the guy. Won national preps as an 8th grader. Won, I think he won NHSCAs. He won Vegas. He won Worlds. Ross, I'm okay with Ross. I'm kind of okay with Ross at the 2. Except they're just one of those things where I don't know if Ross is going to hold 6. I think this is one of those things. I would guess that this is one of those things where Ross said, yeah, I'll wrestle 106, but I ain't never going to make 106 again. So I don't know if I like it. If that's not the case, then I like it. If it is the case, then I don't like it. 175, Joey Jeter, Nick Singer. Don't like it. I like the matchup. I want to see this match. I'm all about it. But I don't know. I don't know that either earned it. Like, what way do they have Aaron Stewart ranked at? And then I don't know. Joey Jeter just assumes it just goes up a weight and is a number 1 guy, number 1 spot. I don't know. Zeno Moore lost to Gabe Delgado and Wyatt Medlin at Fargo. So what? First of all, Gabe Delgado is good. So there's that. Look up who Howard lost to at Vegas. Okay, next matchup, Wolbert DeCraker. They have them listed as 2 and 3 at 38. I have them 1 and 3. I have Bachman 2, but that's who do they have? One? Oh, they have Rainey, right? They have Rainey 1 at 138, which might be the right thing. I'm not exactly sure what Rainey's planning to go, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. Who the hell do they have 1 at 138? That's interesting. I don't know. Wolbert DeCraker will be an excellent match. I in Wolbert's loss at Fargo, who did he lose to? He lost to somebody, like somebody ridiculous. Rainey, right? He lost to Rainey. But I came away liking Wolbert more after that match. Not more than Rainey. I'm not saying He out wrestled Randy. I'm saying I had thoughts on Wolbert. He wrestled and lost, and I thought a little higher of Wolbert even after that in the loss. Jaden Rainey against Moses Mendoza. Moses Mendoza has been so good. I'm telling you, he's always been good, but this year his level has risen. That should be a really good match. I think that's a perfect. Who's
By the way,
one.
Flo's got Jax Forrest, number 1 at 138.
Okay, that makes sense. Rainey and Mendoza, excellent match. The next one will be the Seiden versus the winner of Zinkin and Munaretto. The next one's Kobe Merrill against Mako. I don't know. I mean, I love to watch the matchup, but it's literally not for the number one spot. So I don't know. And then the finale, Bo Bassett versus Jordan Rainey. Yes, please. Love it. There, I mean, no offense to Dallas Russell, who I have ranked 2 at 150. No offense to Sonny Amato or Michael Turry or Joey Joyce. But there's nobody I'd rather see Bo wrestle than Rainey, right? So they're at different weights. Why do you do it? It's not for number one. Yada, yada, yada. I can shut up about that at this match because they're doing something really cool. So, and hats off to both Rainey and Bo for doing it.
Yeah,
So,
I think anytime you have a 1 versus 1, it's cool.
Yeah, I like it.
That's your exception for, well, this isn't for the true who's number 1 at that weight. Well, it's a 1 versus 1. That's the best exception possible.
Yeah. Yep. So let's in totality, it's a great card. Zink and Munaretto, love it. Melvin's on the card. Mills and Kenny, love it. Medlin, Howard. Now remember, when I'm being critical of this, I don't want you guys to think I'm like I say mean things because I'm hating on Flo and this and that. I'm looking at through the lens of, did you earn it, and what the spirit of the event is. And so when I'm nitpicking, last year I nitpicked. I said, did Jaden James deserve to be there? Which is a wholly different question. Don't come back in next week and say, Willie, you said Cam Howard shouldn't be there, and he won. I'm not saying Cam Howard can't win. I'm not saying Cam Howard can't win. I'm saying, did he do enough to get to crack at it? Great card. I love Wolbert the Craker's awesome. Rainey Mendoza, awesome. Getting Seiden to defend his number 1 ranking is awesome. That's a big win for Flo, in my opinion. That's a really good thing. And Bassett Rainey, good card, great card. What's next, boss? You want to wait, and I think it's good. We've been going for a while now, but you want to wait to do like lineups. How about on Wednesday when we digest National Duel seeds and National Duel fields? That's when we'll go into lineups and weight changes and red shirts and stuff like that. I don't got your audio.
How about now? Man, having all sorts of 2 days with toddlers, and we're having all sorts of technical difficulties today. Yeah, let's do that because we can do a lot of National Duel stuff on Wednesday, and then if there's time, there's also some RAF stuff. That card's finalized. You also have Bischoff.
There's one more coming.
Oh, there is?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
There's one more coming. There was a little bit of a hiccup there with something, but the brain put an excellent one together for you.
Will it be excited by Wednesday?
Will it be released by Wednesday?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's when Eric and I are recording.
I don't know.
Larry Steele, Willie, give us a spoiler. Tell us
How do you feel about
tomorrow
night. How
night.
do you feel about Nico Megaludis?
Love me some Nico.
Love you some Nico wrestling BJC one last time.
Only if he wears a Mega Luda's financial singlet.
That's not happening. But no, I'm not telling you any seeds. I haven't told a soul, and I'm not going to.
Let's see. Do you want
I
me?
mean, honestly, let me say this: they didn't have to get me involved. They got me to be part of the seating committee, and it's my honor. And
I don't know if I'm at liberty to say this, but
I would never I would never do anything to jeopardize that. They put their confidence in me, and they had the confidence in me to keep everything confidential, and that's what I'm doing.
I think one of my takes on this is that you and Piles are both a part of the seating committee. I don't know if I can say that or not, but you guys both on the seating committee together, and you guys have had your history. I think that's the best kind of results. That's what you need. You don't want someone in, their little crew. Like, you want somebody who has conflicting viewpoints, conflicting perspectives. Like, I think it's great to get you guys both in the seating committee. I think is the right move.
No, we were both on the call together. It was a Zoom call, a video call, and he was great. He was instrumental and prepared as always. I mean, listen, Christian has a great wrestling brain. He's very sharp and analytical, and he did a great job.
Yeah, I saw a video that Flo must have put it out. There's not many people that I think could do this. I think Baschamania could because his brain is just superb. But they did a thing where it was like spin the weight, spin the wheel for the weight in the year, and I think he was rattling off champs, which that's very impressive. Like within seconds, it's
Christian,
yeah,
it's uncanny.
Baschamania, his memory is impeccable. But I saw the video, I'm like, damn, like. It was like spin the wheels. Okay, 2013. Okay, 157. Boom. Like within seconds.
He's really good. He used to joke about like him not really applying himself. Christian, this is. He used to joke about him not applying himself in school and not getting the best grades, but it wasn't because of lack of intellect. Because he's a sharp guy, and it used to amaze me. Like he can say exactly like. Name the weight, name the year, and he'll tell you the champ. His kid, Caleb, who's really like immersing himself, like he loves baseball. He loves stats and stuff. And it's no surprise. I remember when Caleb was little, Christian used to have Caleb look at a map, like of Africa. Like he'd point to a country, and Caleb would be like Ghana. He was like 3 something. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's wild. Speaking of Flo, do you want to do your rant now?
Well, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh. I'm dumping praise on Piles and Flo, and they're going to do a great job with this national duel stuff. But it's just listen, this doesn't have anything to do with the guys at Flow. It doesn't have anything to do with Piles. It has to do with whoever it's nerding out in coding stuff. We are in retrograde as far as bracketing software. It's I was in a meeting today 2 hours ago about getting betting lines for wrestling on DraftKings and on a whole bunch of stuff, right? And these are not wrestling people, but their first question, they had a list of questions, and one of them was, "Man, we poked around, and how the hell do you guys find results?" I was like, "Yeah, exactly." I mean, wrestling is the world's oldest sport. And we don't have a proper archive of results. You run a tournament today, and then you go look at the results, and it is a disaster. And Well, I mean, track was all right. Flow Arena was all right. And now they merged the two, and it is a disaster. You want to look up a guy's profile? It is weird and clunky and all over the place.
I have not
And
tried it yet. I'm not
to
looking
give
forward
you
to it.
some backstory, those of you who haven't tried it yet, who haven't looked at stuff, now I'm highly analytic with this crap. Half my day, every single day, is spent in track looking at profiles, looking at results, confirming grades, looking up this, looking up that. And for me, it is crucial. It is critical. It's what I do every day. And so for me to go bing, bang, boom, 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 I got tabs open all over the place. I get in a rhythm, boy, and I know how things work. And if you haven't seen it yet, Flo bought track. A few years have gone by. Now they are merging arena and track and the data and the profiles, and it is a clusterfuck. It's terrible. Like just today, I wrote that article, right? I wrote the article about this week in recruiting. And I forgot I missed a guy. So somebody emails me and said, "Hey, this kid committed. You missed him on your list." I said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I will add him immediately." So I go to his track wrestling profile. It immediately, so what in my brain, I'm like, he's a 2026, but let me confirm just to make 100% sure. So I go to his track wrestling profile. It immediately takes me, I'm going to a state tournament. I immediately go and I'm taken to Flow Arena, from track to Flow Arena. I look up the brackets, no grades. Like, they're pulling data from the track wrestling state tournament bracket to Flow Arena, but they're not pulling all the data because the track brackets had grades on them. It's just, I mean, if you look at Flow Arena, they never, not once, Flow Arena has never in its existence had a tournament where they listed the grade. Not a 9, not a 10, not 11, not a 12, not a senior, not a junior, not a sophomore. I mean, stop trying to reinvent the wheel and just give the features that are necessary. And it's just a cluster. And so now you had track was really good, but had terrible interface. It was pretty freaking intuitive. It was pretty in your face, like, what do you need? Okay, there. I click on this. That's pretty intuitive. I got it. It's pretty intuitive. I type in Nico Megaludis, click. Here's what he did. Now, the problem with track has always been they have multiple profiles. So you have 8 different Mark Halls, and 5 of them are the real Mark Hall, and their profile needed to be merged. 3 of them are some other kids named Mark Hall. So that should have been fixed. But the product itself was pretty damn solid. Flow Arena, pretty damn solid. Now you merged 2 of them into this dumpster fire. And now you have USA Bracketing. The guy that originally made track wrestling makes USA Bracketing. And he made it worse than track. He invented a whole new system that was worse. Flow makes a whole new system. They combine 2 solid things into a lump of shit. This guy over here reinvents track wrestling into worse than track was. It's a disaster. And listen, we have one last shot, guys, and it's called Boutboard. And they're early. They're just getting going. But that's the one. That's the only one I have hope for, is Boutboard. It's smart. It's intuitive. It's no frills. Um, they're really open to feedback. Hey, you guys should have this. Okay, we'll code it in. Very simple. The others, good God, nobody can figure this out. Nobody in wrestling can figure this out.
Yeah, I was giving some feedback for Boutboard at NCAA's, and they're very receptive to feedback. They're like, here's the app, run through it. Whatever you think, let us know the feedback. Like, very receptive to feedback, which is crucial when you release a system like that.
And so, I know it's early with this track arena merger, but I don't have a whole heck of a lot of confidence. So there's 2 down. USA bracketing solid, but still wonky as hell. I just don't know what was wrong with track, other than just give track a facelift. That's all you had to do, is give it a facelift.
Sometimes when the code's old, it's harder. You almost have to rebuild it.
So rebuild it to the exact same way. Or just make some changes to arena. What's wrong with arena?
And that, folks, is Willie's rant for the day. We'll be back Wednesday, 9 a.m. with another show.
Hey, I woke up. I fell asleep last night.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I fell asleep about 8:30.
No, we're not going down this path.
Not long after kickoff, and I woke up at like 3 a.m.
You're such a jackass.
Only to find out that Sean McDermott needs to find a new RTC. Is that what we're doing now? Anytime you lose, you have to change. You have to change jobs. You have to move.
You've been waiting the whole show. You've been waiting the whole show for that one. The whole show. Hour 9 minutes. You've been waiting for that one.
I want to know. Is that what we're doing now? James Franklin has to find a new RTC. Who else has to find a new RTC? Who lost big this weekend? What was the other upset?
James Franklin's record against top 10 teams is 4-21. James Franklin cannot win the big one.
James Franklin gets his team to big ones more often than almost anybody else.
The big one is not just the end of the year. The big one's losing to Oregon and then can't win that one. And then turning around and losing to 25.5-point favorites.
The reason James Franklin and Penn State are in big games is because Penn State's good enough to be in big games.
No, Penn State is in the Big Ten.
You know who doesn't have big games? Utah. You know who doesn't have big games? Georgia Tech. You know who doesn't have big games? Teams that are not good. The reason Penn State's in big games is because they're good.
James Franklin's got to go. We're not going to talk about the Bills game. Listen, there's not a single undefeated team in the NFL no more. So for the Bills, naysayers and poo-pooers, no team in the NFL is undefeated. So it is what it is.
How's Syracuse doing?
Bring back Syracuse wrestling. Shout out Gene Mills. All right, go Bills. That's the show.
Go Bills.
Like and subscribe.